Hey there, I'm a millennial. I was born in 1988, which puts me smack dab right in the middle of my millennialness. Us millennials have grown up in two separate worlds, a world without technology and then a world flooded with technology. We were the last generation to really experience the magic of going to a movie theater because there was no other way to see the movie unless you wanted to wait for it to come out on VHS. We were the last generation to experience a time before the internet, and then having the internet, and all the mind-blowing things the internet could do at a snail's pace. I can't stress to you the ridiculously high amount of patience our generation had. And finally, we were the last generation that consumed music through physical media. CDs, people. Compact discs. These fucking things right here. If you heard a song that you liked on the radio or MTV, you went out to the music store, you spent the $16 on the CD, and you hoped that the other 14 songs on the album didn't suck ass. You see, you couldn't exactly return a CD if you didn't like it, so if it was bad, you were stuck with it. My general rule of thumb for purchasing CDs was that I had to at least like 2 of the songs off an album before I would buy it. The economics of consuming music in this way made people much more choosy about what artists they would and would not spend their money on. When you were a teenager, $16 was a lot of money to spend on a CD that may end up sucking. So there was research, there was planning that went into the purchase of a CD, and once you finally did pull the trigger and you made the purchase, the excitement would only begin from there. You might tear off the packaging as soon as you walk out of the store. You might open it in your car, or you might have waited until you got home. But removing the cellophane wrapper and cracking open that new CD with its new plastic smell. This is a very old CD, so it does not have that smell anymore. But that was always just so satisfying. You'd read the liner notes. You'd even look at the pictures. I would even search for little secrets inside the CD case itself. For instance, on Blink-182's Enema of the State album, once I tore the album apart, I noticed on the inner spine, it says, Viking Wizard Eyes, Wizard Full of Lies. Apparently that was going to be the name of Enema of the State, and they changed it, but they never fixed it on the inside of the spine, so it was a fun little Easter egg to look into. Up next, we have the Tool album Undertow, and I noticed that they had originally a black plastic casing, but I noticed there was an image underneath it. So I replaced it with a clear casing, and we have, let's see here, a cow licking its own asshole. And then finally, you put the CD in your CD player and absorb every last drop of music because you paid good money for this thing and you want to believe in your investment. Sometimes, however, something bizarre would happen towards the end of an album. Something that was truly thrilling and mysterious. You notice on your 12-song album, there is a track 13, or maybe a 14, or maybe a track 69. Sometimes they were songs, sometimes they were great songs, sometimes they were piece of shit songs that just left you thinking, okay. And other times it was something altogether insane. The hidden track is a bygone feature now, with streaming apps displaying every last track on an album. There's just simply no place for these fun little Easter eggs to hide anymore. But nonetheless, today I would like to talk about the hidden tracks of compact discs. This is Dancing with Ghosts. So even though CDs are my reference point when it comes to hidden tracks, this unorthodox approach to music packaging has been going on ever since the late 60s. The first instance of a hidden track was when the Beatles were cutting their legendary Abbey Road record. Paul McCartney decided he wanted the song Her Majesty cut from a suite of songs on the second side of the record. Engineer Jeff Emmerich instead tacked the song on at the end of the album after a few seconds of silence. After the record was screened for the Beatles, they decided they liked the arrangement, and the hidden track was born. Her Majesty would not appear on the track listing for the original pressing of the album, which made it even more mysterious. This trend would transform and evolve into all kinds of unique uses of physical space on a record. Sometimes sounds would be placed in the inner groove of a record. That's the space after the record is finished, where the record continues to rotate indefinitely with the tone arm. Interestingly, sound loops would be placed here. For instance, at the end of Pink Floyd's Atom Heart Mother, it was the sound of a faucet dripping water. Or ABBA's 1988 album Super Trooper would feature incessant applause in the inner groove. By the early 90s, cassette tapes had become the most popular way to consume music. The format also made it that much easier to bury hidden tracks. But it was the CD for me that really showed off the magic of how physical media could dazzle the imagination. With CDs, you not only had hidden tracks, but given the optical format, there were all kinds of weird tricks that could be done with tracking. With CDs, we were introduced to the pre-gap. This was a moment of time in between the songs. The pre-gap was usually just 1 second of space to give the song some separation so they didn't just run into each other. But during the 90s, bands started actually inserting musical pieces into these pre-gaps, which could extend however long the band wanted. It's like a space that's not supposed to exist. It's no man's land, but yet music could exist here, or talking, or something incredibly random. In fact, when everybody started ripping their CDs to iTunes in the 2000s, the pre-gaps were never included because computers couldn't register the pre-gaps as songs. So the CD was really the only way you could ever hear these exclusive bits of audio. Now, for some reason, out of all the CDs I own, Limp Bizkit's 1999 album Significant Other utilized the pre-gap space the most. After one song would finish, a time code would pop up with a little subtraction sign beside it. And at that point, ladies and gentlemen, you were in the pre-gap.
Hey, wait up!
And much like hidden tracks, the sounds heard in the pre-gap could be anything. It usually wasn't anything special, but the fact that the only way you could hear it was to just let the CD play, that was a pretty unique experience. Then there were creative decisions utilizing silent hidden tracks. Any real Korn fan knows that their 1998 breakout Follow the Leader album doesn't properly start until track 13. That's right. If you look on the back of the album, it even shows track 1 as being track 13. Well, what's up with that? Well, the first 12 tracks were just 5 seconds of silence. Why did the band do this? Well, apparently lead singer Jonathan Davis didn't want the record to end on track 13 out of superstition. But this album wouldn't have ended on track 13 anyway, since there was a hidden track on this album as well, and it was a cover of Cheech and Chong's classic Earache My Eye. So not only did they have silent pre-tracks, but they had a hidden track on top of that. It was very, very hot time for the hidden tracks. Now let's dive into some of these hidden tracks. I'm mainly going to be mentioning hidden tracks that I have a personal connection to or memory of. So starting off, one of the most infamous examples of a hidden track is the song Endless Nameless off Nirvana's hugely successful 1991 album Nevermind. The song itself isn't very good. It's just kind of a disjointed noise session where Kurt Cobain is screaming and instruments are being randomly thrashed. The song Endless Nameless was notoriously left off the first 40,000 units of Nevermind, but Kurt insisted the track be restored. I bought my copy of Nevermind back in like the mid-2000s, and my copy does not have this hidden track on it. I looked into this, and apparently it's a random crapshoot whether your copy of Nevermind will have the hidden track or not. At some point in the late 90s, they started removing the track again, but before YouTube existed, all I knew was that there was a hidden Nirvana song off Nevermind that I was never going to be able to hear, which made me feel pretty shortchanged at the time. The experimental funk rock band Primus splashed onto the music scene in 1989 with a live album called Suck on This. Nearly every single song off this album would eventually make its way onto an official Primus studio album. All but 2, that is. The songs "J Like It" and "The Heckler" were both fine songs but never got an official studio release. That was until Primus's 1999 album Anti-Pop, where the hidden track at the end of the record was a pristine studio version of The Heckler. I always thought that was such a neat idea to debut a live album and then slowly leak out studio versions of the live songs, but then to take one of the songs that had never had a studio release and make it a hidden track nearly 10 years later was a stroke of genius. Nine Inch Nails is another band that gets brought up in the hidden tracks conversation because on their 1992 EP Broken, Trent included 2 cover songs that became well-regarded fan favorites. Suck by his former band Pigface, and Physical by Adam and the Ants. These covers paid homage to Reznor's love of 1980s new wave. The progressive metal band Tool has always been fans of hiding Easter eggs in their music and albums. A cow licking its own asshole. On their 1992 album Undertow, after track 9 ends, the album cycles through 59 one-second tracks until it gets to track 69, which is called Disgustipated. But on the track list, it's labeled as track 10. The song sounds like you're in the middle of some kind of cult ritual with lead singer Maynard going on about some kind of rant about I don't know what. Tool are definitely a unique band. Some other notable hidden tracks that I've seen brought up would be Green Day's All By Myself off their 1994 album Dookie. I really don't understand why this hidden track seems to get brought up more than the others. It's just some jokey acoustic number about masturbation.
I was all by myself. No one was looking.
It's really nothing special, and I don't know why it makes it onto so many of these best of hidden track lists. Lauryn Hill did a cover of Frankie Valli's Can't Take My Eyes Off of You, and it was a hidden track on her hugely successful The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill album, but quite frankly, I don't care. There are hundreds of albums that have hidden tracks, and I know I barely scratched the surface. I thought this would be a fun video where I could relive how I used to interact with physical media when it came to music. The advent of streaming absolutely destroyed any of the lore and mystique of buying a CD and discovering something unexpected. Those little bonuses just added to the enjoyment of collecting and listening. Nowadays, of course, streaming has made life 100 times more convenient with the instant access to anything that's seemingly ever been recorded, but I just feel like the appreciation has definitely dissipated because of that. That's why I'm appreciative that I grew up in a time of transition. I got to appreciate the simple things before technology started ruling over every aspect of our lives. And then I got to experience technology ruling over every aspect of our lives. Anyway, what are some of your favorite hidden tracks that you enjoy? Let me know in the comments below. And until next time, have a good rest of your night. God, I hate editing. It's so fucking boring. Sucks. Can't wait to be done with this. I don't know. Get the fuck out of here. Time to do something else with my life. Oh, Jesus Christ. It's gotten dark out. Well, got a fucking karaoke gig tonight.